Before I start problem 3, I'm going to go through each of the valid and invalid arguments. So we have the valid arguments: the law of detachment, the law of contraposition, the law of syllogism, and disjunctive syllogism. And then we have two fallacies: the fallacy of the converse and the fallacy of the inverse. Those are invalid arguments. So the law of detachment says if P then Q, and P implies Q. The law of contraposition, P implies Q, not Q, therefore not P. The law of syllogism, if P then Q, if Q then R, therefore if P then R. And disjunctive syllogism, P or Q, not P, therefore Q. The two fallacies: the fallacy of the converse, if P then Q, Q, therefore P, that's invalid. And the fallacy of the inverse, if P then Q, not P, therefore not Q. So those are on your review sheet for the unit that you can use so that you don't have to memorize them. Example 3. Determine whether the following argument is valid or invalid. If it doesn't say you need to do the problem out, we want to see if we could compare it to a standard argument. So if you go to New Bedford, then you visit the Whaling Museum. If you visit the Whaling Museum, then you see the whale skeleton. Therefore, if you go to New Bedford, then you see the whale skeleton. So let's look at, we have three different statements here. We have P, you go to New Bedford. Q, you visit the Whaling Museum. And R, you see the whale skeleton. Oops, don't cross that. Whale skeleton. There we go. So we have if P, then Q, which we write P implies Q, or P arrow Q. Then we have Q implies R, or if Q, then R. And for our final, we have therefore, so our three dots. If you go to New Bedford, so if P, then you see the whale skeleton, then R. If we look at our sheet of standard arguments, both valid and invalid, we see that this is the law of syllogism. So we need to say valid, law of syllogism. Example 4, determine whether the argument is valid or invalid. If you are Maria's mother, then Maria is your daughter. Maria is your daughter. Therefore, you are Maria's mother. So we have P, let me write them here, P, you are Maria's mother. And Q, Maria is your daughter. So we have if P, then Q. Our second argument, Maria is your daughter, is Q. And our therefore is P. So we have if P, then Q, Q, therefore P. Going to look at the standard arguments on your review sheet, you have this as the fallacy of the converse. So this is invalid because it's the fallacy of the converse.